Right now, I'm inside the West Bench Cat Hospital at Big Cat Rescue. This is where we perform minor surgeries and physical exams on the cats that live here at the sanctuary. More recently, though, it became a 3-month recovery area for a much-loved bobcat named Skip. Skip was named after his rescuer, whose wife had spotted him on the side of the road on December 28, 2010. The bobcat had obviously been hit by a car and was dragging his back end. He was able to catch him in a blanket and turned him loose in their SUV. This was obviously the first time they'd ever been in contact with a wild bobcat because we know how much attitude they have. They followed our advice and managed to get a pet carrier from one of their friends. Keeping Skip wrapped up in a blanket and placing him in the carrier didn't work, so Skip, the rescuer, had to get a grip on Skip's scruff and get him into the carrier while the cat managed to go spread eagle over the opening. Not an easy feat. By this time, I was already on the way to pick up the bobcat. Big Cat Rescue staff were calling every vet between the sanctuary and the rescue location, which was more than 2 hours away, in fear that he'd go into shock before we got him back down to Tampa. Nobody agreed to see Skip, so when we got back to Tampa, we headed straight to Ehrlich Animal Hospital, where staff were waiting to treat him. X-rays showed that his pelvis was crushed on one side and detached from his spine on the other. Judging from his teeth, we guessed his age to be around 2 years old, and he weighed 17 pounds. Blood work was ran on Skip to make sure that he didn't have any diseases that would make him unfit for release back into the wild, which all turned out clear. Despite the amount of usable bone being limited, the broken side of his pelvis was repaired with metal plates, and 2 large screws were used to reattach the other side of his pelvis. Back at the sanctuary, we constructed a larger enclosure for Skip so he could begin his recovery. He was given meds twice daily using an operant conditioning stick for a month. We used food as an incentive for Skip to shift enclosures so we could clean each section. Skip is extremely shy, but he's also very smart and picked up on the idea that switching enclosures for cleaning meant food. We cleaned, switched, and fed Skip twice a day, and it took around 20 minutes each time. We set up cameras in the hospital to monitor his progress remotely, and we broadcast the feed online. The public fell in love with Skip and his will to survive and recover. A fan group called Skipaholics was formed. People could watch Skip eating and growing stronger daily worldwide. His personality also earned him the nickname Prince Fuzzy Britches. And in total, almost 140,000 people checked in to watch his recovery online. We held Skipaholic tours where his fans traveled from across the country to tour the sanctuary. They also got a special treat of seeing Skip in person via our 2-way mirrored doors in the cat hospital. Unfortunately, during Skip's recovery, one of the screws pulled out a fraction of an inch, resulting in his pelvic canal healing narrower than it was before. And because wild bobcats eat whole prey in the wild, he would not have been able to pass bone and fur without getting blocked up, which would have resulted in death. So it was disappointing to find out that Skip wouldn't be able to be released back into the wild. But we knew we could give him the best chance at life in captivity. Knowing that Skip wasn't a candidate for release, we began to construct a special 3,000 square foot enclosure for him off the tour path. We gave him lots of hiding places, vegetation, things to explore, and of course, his favorite beds made the journey to his new outside home. We also began to talk around Skip when we were cleaning his enclosure or feeding him, so that he'd become used to hearing voices in the future. Moving day arrived and Skip switched cages, walking straight into our transport cage, and he headed into the outside world once again. Let's go and see where he lives now. So this is the area of the sanctuary where Skip lives now. He has lots of new neighbors, including Narla, Tonga, and Jeannie. He's got a huge space to explore, and we're able to monitor him adapting to captive life thanks to the Skipaholics who donated 2 video camera traps. We've never seen him during the day, but at night he chases bugs, listens to other night animals in the area, jumps on his platforms and dens for a better view of his surroundings, and even climbed one of his trees. He's one of the youngest cats on the property, along with Max the Bobcat, and he'll remain on a soft food diet for the rest of his life. While the outcome of this rescue wasn't what we were hoping for, we know that we can provide Skip with the best life possible in captivity. You can help us change the way people treat big cats by texting the word TIGER to 20222.